related to related to influence on a group of people, related to governance, related to headship, related to achieving a given task. Now, another saying I absolutely love is one that says, occupy till I come. Occupation is not passive. Related to related to influence on a group of people, related to governance, related to headship, related to achieving a given task. Now, another saying I absolutely love is one that says, occupy till I come. Occupation is not passive, related to influence on a group of people, related to governance, related to headship. Okay. We had a slight hitch there with our live streaming, but I think now we're at the same point with the live streaming. So occupation is not passive. The same thing with leadership. Leadership is not passive. When you talk about a military occupation is an active occupation. So a military occupation is active. So let's keep that in mind. Now, if you're not, and in leadership, how you occupy is that you're exercising the levers of leadership. And the levers of leadership include exercising authority to hire, to fire, to promote, authority to admit into a team. You're exercising those authorities. You're exercising the authority of expending a budget. You're exercising authority of decision making. And that is why it is not passive. If you're not exercising the authority, if you're not exercising those levers of leadership, you create a vacuum. If you create a vacuum, somebody else will fill the gap you have created. If you create a gap, if you don't fill that gap quickly, just know that you're going to lose that spot. Somebody else is coming in. Leadership is intentional. So it is active and it is not passive. You know, you get some positions and they say, oh, this person is a ceremonial leader. Look for the leader that is active. That is the real leader, regardless of what you call them. Then leadership is directional. You have to be going in a clear direction. You have your bullseye objective of where you're going, and you need a road map so that you know what your road of travel is. And you have to be consulting that roadmap to ensure that you do not derail. You know, sometimes people say, oh, there's strategic creep or strategic drift, which means that they're going off their planned strategy. You must be able to measure and evaluate the road of travel, including a self-evaluation of yourself as a leader. Then leadership is situational. You are leading within a given environment, within a given culture. And so, you know, as folks say, leadership eats strategy for breakfast. You have to pay attention to the environment in which you are leading. You have to understand that environment, or in my words, the culture of the environment. If you do not address it, it will actually eat the leaders up for breakfast, or worse still, as a snack. So note and know the environment in which you're leading. What are the strengths of that environment? So understand the market in which you're operating, understand the giving needs of that market, and how you can meet the needs of the market. And leadership is relational. You're leading a group of people. You're leading a team to achieve a common purpose. So you have to know them. You have to know the people that you're leading, and you have to understand the stakeholders that actually have an impact on the group that you're leading. So understand what makes the group that you're leading, understand what makes them tick, understand how best to relate to them. So always keep that people dimension in mind. Communication is also critical. How do you communicate with the people that you're leading? A silent leader, a disconnected leader has lost their position of leadership. When you look at different pictures or images of leaders, a lot of them are carrying two things. They're carrying they're carrying a device to see, and they're carrying a device to amplify their voice. So two amplifying devices: amplification of sight, so that they can lead, they can see the path ahead, they can see the goal ahead and lead the people, and amplification of voice. Because if you see, then you have to be able to speak to those that you're leading, communicate to them so that they will follow you and so that you will keep your team. Arriving at the given destination without your team is failure. Leadership is not about you, it's about achieving together a given goal. It's about a win-win situation. It benefits all of you. When the situation benefits only the leader, that team is not going to succeed. It's going to crumble halfway down to achieving the given goal. So keeping your team together and arriving at the given destination with that team is success. Doing it over and over and over again, being able to deliver a team, whether it's political, whether it's business, whether it's organizational, doing it over and over again is what we're talking about in eminence or greatness in leadership. So let's go to the next slide. So now the issue of greatness, getting to greatness in leadership. Now, one of the things also in relating to people, and I will be talking about it in greatness, is if in a given journey of leadership, you do not create other leaders. So you get to the given goal, one, you get to the given goal with your team members, and you get to the given goal. So you get to the given goal, having created also other leaders. It is so important that you're empowering your team. It is so important that it's a win-win situation. It's benefiting you and it's benefiting your team members. And one of the ways it's benefiting them is because you're creating new leaders. You know, there was this announcement during the week of the new the new CEO for Citi Group, you know, the Citibank. And for the first time, it's a woman. Well, when you read her story, 16 years ago, she was interviewed and recruited by the current CEO of Citi. So he has created, he has achieved a major milestone in leadership. He didn't just bring somebody from outside. He brought someone from inside that had been working within the institution, serving in different roles. So when you look at it, the story is not just about the new woman, the new CEO. It's also about the former CEO who has ended a certain leadership journey. And it's just one of his leadership journeys, because he's going to be doing other things as a leader. But in that leadership journey, he created other leaders, including his successor. And he also did what others had never done before. He brought in a successor that's a woman. So these are the things that actually are the critical elements of greatness in leadership. So leaders, you have to keep in mind, are seasoned, but they're not perfect. Don't look for a perfect leader. So long as that leader is a human being, they have their imperfections, they have their weaknesses, and they are work in progress. And you as a leader should know yourself. So the critical part of leadership is stepping out of the crowd. You come out of the crowd to be a leader. You are seen, you are heard, you are accessible, you are accountable. You know, when something goes wrong, and the first thing is you start blaming everybody, you just lost your place as a leader. You're the number one accountable person if you're a leader. Don't throw your team members under the bus. And don't throw yourself under the bus. A critical part of leadership is accountability and being able to take responsibility and move on. You will start leading before you are called a leader, because it's the actions that you take, your leadership actions, that define you as a leader. So it is as you take those actions that you now start being called a leader. If you're called a leader and you're called a leader without taking actions, guess what? You will lose your leadership position. The real leader who is acting will take up your position. So you have to really be taking those actions, those leadership actions that define you as the leader. So like I said before, leadership must be a verb. It's about action. If you're not acting, you're not leading. Now, there is also an issue I want to mention: indecision, not being able to take a decision. It's a cancer to leadership. You have to be decisive. You know how to be informed and take the decision and move on. Now, the other aspect, we've talked about stepping out of the crowd. The other aspect is you have to know the way, you have to be able to show the way, you have to be able to take your team, then you go the way, and then you create new leaders. So that we have already talked about. Leadership is not about consistent and repeated actions, because consistency and repetition is doing exactly the same thing. Leadership is about continued and improved. You are innovating, you're evolving, you're doing new things. They can actually say, before you, we did it like this. After you, we started doing it in a new way. There are no sacred cows. There are no untouchables for leaders. Leaders are somewhat revolutionary. They're not administrators. They don't come to maintain the status quo. You come to improve. You come to maximize. So keep that in mind. Risks are your friend. Yeah, we say in Nigeria, the police is your friend. So I'm adding to that. Risks are your friend. A lot of people see a risk, fear creeps in. You know, with fear comes something powerful called adrenaline. Adrenaline kicks in because it expects you to act, not to freeze or to recoil. It expects action from you. That's why your body secretes adrenaline when there's a stimulus. So when there are risks, identify the risks. Don't run from them. Don't be paralyzed in fear. Don't be in denial. Risks are real, but turn your risks into a springboard. Take calculated risks. Every innovation, every success story involves taking risks. And no matter what, don't get out of the race. Stay in the race. Once you get on that continuum, stay in it. Don't be a leader and then fall out of being a leader. Yes, you may make mistakes. When you make mistakes, get up, dust yourself, and keep on moving again. It is when you sit in a mistake that a bus stop becomes a destination. When you keep on moving, then you are still in the race and you can still win. And leadership is multiple races, multiple journeys of leadership. So do not let 1 kilometer destroy a 100-kilometer journey. That's what you do when you let one error, one mistake define your life. You know, so many stories about scientists before they actually achieve the given goal, what happens with scientists is that they have a lot of failures. But despite those failures, they still achieve the given goal. So it is so important that you don't let a failure define you. So can we go to the next to the next slide, please? So this next slide, I'm just showing you. Let me see. There's a. Okay, so I'm just showing you two images. The journey for leadership, it's bumpy. There are potholes, there are hills and valleys, so highs and lows, potholes. And then at the end of it, you all come out achieving. So if you let the highs and the lows derail you, you will not get to the second image of the achievement. It is staying the course. I call it stayability. It is staying the course till the end that helps you. And this is where the 3 Ps are very important: passion, priority, positioning. So let's go to the 3 Ps very quickly. Passion. Why do you need passion? We've talked about the bumpy ride. We've talked about the highs and the lows. Trust me, passion is your fuel. It's like having a Ferrari without fuel in it, in the middle of nowhere, that Ferrari and the powerful engine in that car means nothing to you. It's a useless sports car if you don't have fuel. It needs to run on something. You run on your passion. Your passion motivates you. Your passion keeps you going. Your passion is what will make you work overnight without sleep for days. Your passion is what makes you get up after you have failed, after a trial did not work, after the market does not appear to have accepted your product. It is passion that makes you come back again, repackage, and keep on going. So it is so important to have passion, or you can't even go on that journey. It's like starting a journey, you sit in your car and your fuel gauge is empty. You're not going anywhere. That's the importance of passion. Passion is also the catalyst of creative juices. It is your juicer. Where there's passion, you are, that's when your creative juices work at the best. That's when you start being innovative, because in passion you have, that's when you're driven. And when you're driven, it's natural, your creativity comes out. Everything I've been passionate about, I've been able to innovate, I've been able to reform, I've been able to disrupt, I've been able to change. But without passion, it's difficult to get into that creative groove. Passion motivates you. It motivates you for perfection and for excellence. When you're passionate about something, you want it to work out right. You want it to turn out right. Mediocrity and passion don't go together. Things that you don't care about are the things that end up being mediocre. When you really care about something, you give it your all, and you're trying to make sure that you're getting the best out of it. If you miss on a goal of excellence, you are at least in a good place. But if you're shooting for mediocrity, you actually get into irrelevance very quickly. Passion gives you resilience. It gives you the strength to stay in the race. This COVID-19 period has been a period where resilience has been tested. Can you confront COVID-19 and survive as a business, as a team, as an organization? And this is where passion comes in. Passion also gives you the right attitude. I call it the fountain of joy. When you're passionate, it is difficult to be depressed. Yes, you may be discouraged, but that passion will help you overcome the discouragement. Passion gives you the right attitude to face the challenges and to overcome those challenges. This is why passion is critical. It's the fuel for the journey of leadership. Now, you may be passionate about the full leadership journey, but not be passionate about certain parts of the journey. No problem. Keep the end in sight. When you keep the end in sight, you will be able to overcome the short parts of the journey where you do not, that you're not passionate about. You just know that I have to go through this part to get to my given goal that I'm passionate about. And so you still give it your all because it is part of the journey to that vision you have created. Now let's look at the next P very quickly. Oh, sorry. So this just is, this is the next slide, shows you different, it's just talks to you. One is the principle of ikigai, where your passion, your profession, your vocation, and your mission come together. That sweet spot is sort of your place of best or highest productivity. Um, so let's look at the next slide for the second P. The second P is priority. And I'm using selectivity to actually explain priority. If you don't have prioritization, if you're not selective, you will not be efficient and you will not be effective. To be efficient, to use resources efficiently, to use resources appropriately, to be effective in what you're doing. So doing the right thing and doing it the right way with the right resources. For effective allocation of resources, efficient allocation of resources, you must be selective. You must prioritize. And as you prioritize, prioritization allows you for excellence, allows mastery. You know, jack of all trades, master of none, tells you the absurdity of lack of priority. You're doing very many things, you're good at none. It's through selectivity that comparative advantage comes out. And in that area of comparative advantage, that is where you apply yourself the most. Where you do not have a comparative advantage, don't go there. Leave it to others. Priority and selectivity allows you to go through the whole process of, this is my vision, this is the strategy, how I will achieve the long-term vision, and these are my short-term tactics to achieving that vision. And prioritization, selectivity leads to success. If you're trying to do everything without selectivity, you tend to fail. And I have certain, images that show you the absurdity and waste and destruction that comes from lack of prioritization. If we can go to the next slide, please. So you see somebody who says, here's the emergency update to the onboard navigation software. This is for onboarding, and the spacecraft has already taken off. So what they needed before takeoff was being brought after takeoff. You know the end of that space journey, that space mission. The end is in sight because they didn't have their onboarding software. Yes, ma'am, your case is still top priority. Your case is still top priority, is way on, you can see all of the so-called top priority. There's no prioritization there. Then you allow people to work using dangerous instruments without having gone through a safety training. They're going to hurt themselves. So do the first things first. It is so critical for leadership and for the leadership journey. So let's go, here is a leader who they say the problem of your team is lack of leadership. His response to that study is, let us get together and discuss it. And my response is, fire this so-called leader, get rid of this so-called leader. He is the problem, and he's showing and confirming that he's the problem. Then there's always this saying about trying to herd cats. Have you ever seen cats being herded the same way you herd sheep? Cats go in different directions. They have their own mind. They're doing something else. And if this guy has a shepherd's rod and he's trying to herd cats, you can already see on one side of his trousers that the trousers are ripped. The right side of his trousers, it's already been ripped. His jacket, his blazer is already ripped. It's torn. So you suffer damage when you do not prioritize and when you're trying to do everything at the same time. You damage yourself. You exhaust yourself. You overdo things and you become sick. In this leadership journey, prioritization is also what will preserve you. If you don't prioritize and try to do everything, you might not make it to the end of the journey. And so many people in the race of leadership, because they did not take care of themselves, passion will keep on pushing you. Priority will help you apply the passion where it is needed, so that you are not just running on adrenaline and you get into high blood pressure and whatever else. So passion in an environment of selectivity, then you're getting into the winning formula. Next slide is about positioning. So positioning is about both internal, external. So internal, how you position yourself within your team. External, how you position yourself to external stakeholders, to the market, to people you relate with, to your suppliers, all of those. It's lateral within organizations. So within an organization, if you're a director, how do you position yourself among the other directors? How do you position yourself among your peers? How do you position yourself also externally, but among similar organizations? And it is also vertical. How do you position yourself with your superiors? Then positioning is professional and non-professional. There's also how you position yourself socially. There's how you position yourself in your community. So there's certain questions that I have put here about position. So as you position, about positioning, as you position your organization, as you position the product, don't forget yourself. Position yourself. Do you have the right belief in self? Do you believe that you're the right one? Do you believe that you're the leader? Do you believe that you have the right product? Do you believe that you have the right solution? You have to believe in yourself. Because if you're waiting for people to believe in you, and that is what starts your journey, the day a fickle person decides that they don't believe in you any longer, your journey will end, because your journey is not self-motivated. It's not based on self-belief. Do you have proof that you are the right one? Do you have a value ledger? If you say, I am the right one, on what basis? You have to be able to say to yourself, I did this, I did this, I did that. You have to have that proof. Do you have a voice? And are you speaking? Are you expressing yourself? Are you exercising the levers of authority for leadership? Then are you seen? So the first ones are what you have done. Then for positioning, it's not just about you, you're positioning also for others. So are these others seeing you as a leader? Are they seeing you as the right person for the job? And it's not just everybody seeing you. Are the right persons who will take the decision, are they seeing you? Are those who will buy your product, are they seeing your product? Is your product in the right place for the market that you're targeting? Then are you in the right places? Are you involved in community work? Does your community recognize you as a contributor to the community, as a reformer of the community, as one that cares about the community, and as one that invests in the community? So for example, for the founder of AYB, he has already, his intention was to invest in people, but in carrying out that intention, he has identified himself as a leader that cares about his community. So then, have you identified those who know that you are the leader, you're the right one, and are these people willing to speak for you? It's one thing that you have people who have seen you at work, who have seen you achieve, but these same people, will they speak it out? So this is a critical part of positioning. And this is why positioning is important, because positioning is what allows the leadership journey, the leadership achievement to be seen, to be appreciated, and to be rewarded. Let's look at the next slide. So the next slide is this lady who is the new CEO of the first woman to be CEO of Citi. But if you read her story, you will see here that that journey didn't just happen. It was crafted and it included positioning. So she started, she'd been doing things before she came to Citibank. She worked with McKinsey. She was a consultant with McKinsey, then came to Citibank 16 years ago. Now, you had people who were speaking for her. So it's not just doing carrying out the action. She had people who were attesting to the fact that she was good. So you had first the CEO, the current CEO now, who hired her, who had a hand in also the different responsibilities that she had, and moving her to different roles. You have to, and that's how she was able to provide assurance of her ability to carry out the duties of CEO. You had the chairperson of the board who is able to speak for her. And then before she was appointed CEO, she was appointed also president a year ago. And she was tapped for that position by a 17-member board. So you had people on that board that actually were able to speak for her, usually called sponsors, more than others that were on the list. She wasn't the only person on the list, but she was the one that was selected because she has been positioned to be, she was positioned to be seen, to be heard, to be tried, and to be tested before she was appointed CEO. The next slide is a funny one. So this is someone who is very short. It's a Bible story that children tend to love, but I found it perfect for talking about positioning. I said, know yourself, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. This person realized that he's very short and there is a crowd. We talked about stepping out of the crowd. He climbed a tree to give himself a vantage point, to be noticed, to see what is going on, to carry out a conversation. And through his positioning, he got the attention he wanted. he was seen, he had the conversation, and I think even by the end of the day, he had private time with leadership. So this tells you about positioning. I'm not telling anybody to go climb a tree, but you have to position yourself. And this tells you the reason for positioning. It is to be seen. It is to be heard. It is to have opportunity with decision makers, so that those decision makers, when it is time to take a decision regarding you, regarding your product, they actually can say, yes, we know her, we know him. And this person has been tried, has been tested. And that is why it is so important to step out of the crowd in your leadership journey. And thank you very much. This is where my presentation comes to an end. During Q&A, we'll discuss.
Let me unmute everybody. Let us
thank you so much.
Clap. I want everybody to clap. You can unmute yourself. Clap. Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Thank you very much. I'm really honored.
Because of COVID-19, whether people really
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. We are very. Moderator, go ahead and I don't know. I want you to say something before I don't want to jump.
Well, she has said a lot, and personally, I'm so blessed. I wrote a lot of things. I think I would love to go through a presentation all over. She started by introducing us to the topic, to the presentation. She mentioned to us what leadership is all about. It has to be intentional, situational, purposeful, directional, and relational. Then she made a quotation which I like so much by Ellen Keller. The only thing worse than being blind is having sight and no vision. Getting to greatness in leadership, you have to know, you have to show, you have to take, you have to go, and you have to create. And she went ahead to tell us the 3 P's of getting to greatness in leadership. She mentioned passion, priority, and positioning. And wow, a lot of quotations from her. Leadership is intentional. A leader must be active. You have to know yourself, your weaknesses, your strengths as a leader, and you have to take your position of leadership. If not, you lose that position to someone else. She went ahead to tell us about leadership being relational. You have to know the people you are leading. You have to identify the stakeholders and the impact they have on your group. Then she went ahead again to tell us about priority, and she used another one for it, which is selectivity. If you are not selective as a leader, you won't be efficient and you can never be effective. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
You also suffer damage as a leader if you don't prioritize. You have to list out what you have to do. You can't do everything. And she went ahead to talk about positioning. It allows you to be well placed. You'll be seen, recognized, awarded, and rewarded. And she talks about passion. Your passion drives you. It brings out the creativity in you. It motivates you. And when you are passionate, it is difficult to be depressed. Your passion keeps you going, because without passion, you can easily give up. A lot has been said by her. If you are not decisive as a leader, it's a cancer. You have to get informed and take actions. You have to take risk as a leader. Risk should be your friend. Though calculated risk, she said. And leadership is not about repeated actions, but continuous, improved, and creative ideas. So we can go to our YouTube to watch this video all over again because of time. Thank you so much, Ma.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
For this beautiful presentation.
It's a wow, wow, wow. I want us to clap again. Are we on everybody to clap again?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am so honored.
Thank you very
So
much.
if we can briefly take questions.
We already have
questions. Hello.
Hello. Hello. I can hear you. Okay, yes, I can hear Mr. Oyo now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said that I don't know whether the moderator will allow me to. I cited Professor.
Oh, I think, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello, we can hear you now. Oh, I think we're
lost him.
Hello.
Okay. Hello, we can hear you now. Wow. Okay, maybe I'll use this opportunity to say one. Hello, may I just use this opportunity to say one thing to those who are listening on the issue of prioritization. I always say to myself, I can do all things, but I will not do all things. I will do that which I have prioritized to do. So the fact that you can do all things doesn't mean you should go and start trying to do all things. It leads to early death or some form of destruction. So I just wanted to really say that, especially with technology, technology helps you, but also don't try to leverage technology to do all things. Thank you.
Thank you. Femi, are you up? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Now we can hear you.
Are you allowed to just identify some people and then recognize them?
Please go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, please.
Good. Thank you so much, Professor Kwade from University of Ibadan. Professor Kwade has joined us, I think, from the UK. And I can see Professor Babatunde Adewumi. These are people that are supporting the African Young Brain.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you all.
Professor Babatunde Adewumi, if you are there, you can just say one of.
Well, thank you so much.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay.
And
I think I want to.
Second speaker is already here also. Mrs. Akintomi, they wait till the end of the second presentation.
So,
yes,
I want to thank you for the beautiful presentation. I think it's very good for our youth to know how to chart their way through life and to have definite accomplishments that can make them an hero. I'm happy you are sharing from your experiences And I think our youth should be fast and sharp enough to really learn from people who have made it in the positive way. Unfortunately, the youth of today seems to be carried away with a frivolous set of people who can only make noise that don't have substance. I think the caliber of the speaker today and even our commissioner that has opened the floor for us, there are people that the youth should really see as true examples. So I'm happy you are able to share your experiences with us, particularly with background in righteousness, because I can see you citing some very, very sound scriptural passages that I have also adapted in my life and that has made me to get to this mile. So I'm really pleased and happy we have people like you. And I want to encourage our youth to please learn from the right type of people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions before we move on to the second presentation? Or we take the questions together at the end of the presentation? I welcome on board Oluwafunke Amobi. She is the second presenter for today. She is the country head, Human Capital, Stanbic IBTC Holding PLC. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
She's taking out on the topic, Emerging Trends in Leadership and the Future of Work. Can we please project our profile? Oluwafunke Amobi is a country head, Human Capital for Stanbic IBTC Holdings, a member of Standard Bank Group. As a country head of Human Capital, Funke has the responsibility for leading, defining, and managing the Nigeria human capital strategies and the delivery of HC services, policies, and programs across the Nigerian business. She is known for astutely aligning the human capital strategies to the business strategy, as well as shaping and driving organizational culture and employee engagement to improve business performance. With over 25 years experience in the human resources function, spanning across the telecommunications, oil and gas, and banking industries in Nigeria, Funke has a wealth of experience as a certified HR management practitioner with a unique specialist depth in talent management and organizational development. She holds a first degree in economics from the University of Lagos, Nigeria, where she graduated with a second-class honors upper division. Following the award of prestigious British Chevron Scholarship in 2007, she proceeded to study for an MBA at the University of Lancaster, UK, where she graduated with a distinction and was awarded the Dean's Prizes. Well, she has a lot of awards here. You can read her profile as being projected. So let me move on. She is a much sought after speaker nationally and internationally in human resources and management. She is also the lead lecturer for organization behavior and management in the executive MBA faculty in the University of Ibadan. Funke is a chartered fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Development, UK, and was recently awarded the Chartered Companion status. She is also a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, Nigeria, and the Society of Human Resources, USA, where she served as a subject matter expert. As a part of her social responsibility commitment, Funke serves as a chairperson of the TREM Career Academy and a non-for-profit enterprise focused on tackling unemployment by raising the employability bar for the Nigerian youth. She also sits on the board of Women in Successful Careers, a non-for-profit women empowerment organization, and Junior Achievement Nigeria, JAN, a part of Junior Achievement Worldwide Empowerment Students on Financial Literacy. Funke is the non-executive director of Stanbic IBTC Asset Management Limited, and she is married to Fred. Please join me in welcoming on board Oluwafunke Amobi, the country head Human Capital Stanbic IBTC Holding PLC.
Network is bad.
Oh, you can hear me?
I think this woman is a commissioner, one of the commissioners.
Yes.
Hello.
We could hear you. We can hear
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome. She's taking us on the topic, emerging trends in leadership and the future of work. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ma.
You can go on with your presentation, ma'am.
I'm just trying to test and be sure that you can see me.
Yes, I can see you.
Yes, you can see.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, African young brains. And good morning to our very distinguished speaker. And sadly, I didn't need most of her presentation. I mean, she had ended and was just answering the questions before I signed on. Mrs. Cecilia Akintomede, good morning to you, madam. And please do allow me to stand on existing protocol, which I'm very, very sure has already been duly established. It gives me great pleasure to be with you today for many reasons, which I'll unfold as we go into the session. But I'm absolutely delighted to be spending this morning with the African young brains. I am going to be sharing my screen right away, just so we get into the session without further delay. Bear with me as I do that.
I missed her. Oh, Cecilia, that's not good for me. My business come up in which. This is
Hello.
Hello, we
Hello.
can hear you.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you
Yes,
very
yes,
much.
we can hear you now.
And please do confirm that you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, brilliant.
yes,
So,
you can see your screen.
so good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be here today. Particularly, because we're talking about African young brains, particularly because we're talking about Africa, and in my world, in Standard Bank Group and in Stanbic IBTC, we're very, very passionate about Africa. We believe that Africa is our home and we drive her growth. We're a proudly African brand. So when I see the young ones actually coming to, when I see African young brains coming to the table to say, we would like to talk about Africa, we would like to come together as a community, as Africans, to grow, I can see the future coming. I can see the future with us here now. So I'd like to thank you very much and thank the organizers and indeed the coordinators behind the African Young Brains. Thank you very much. You're doing an excellent piece of work developing the next line of leadership leaders in Africa as a continent. Thank you. Today, we're going to be talking about emerging trends in leadership and future world of work. Emerging trends in leadership. Leadership is such a, familiar construct to everyone. At the same time, it's yet still a very unfamiliar construct. Yeah. So it's one of those constructs in life in general that is both familiar and unfamiliar. And in my view, that is, both hugely well researched, hugely well thought through, but yet very least understood and practiced. So we're going to spend some time on looking at perspectives of leadership. We talk about leaders, schools of thoughts, emerging trends. I know you've had some a session with scholars from the University of Ibadan. And by the way, I'm also very passionate about the University of Ibadan because I teach on the executive MBA faculty of the University of Ibadan, specifically Lagos campus. So very excited about scholars that come from there. So I know we've heard some of the scholar views, I expect already, about leadership. but I'm going to be spending time talking about leaders, schools of thought on leadership and emerging trends, just so we can, as youth growing, we can pay attention to these trends as they come up. And then I'll go into what I love to do so much, talking about the future of work. There's no leadership without the future. It's about past, present, and future. How should leaders begin to show up, to present themselves ready to embrace the future of work? So very quickly, so what is leadership? What do we mean when we talk about leadership? What really is leadership about? And I'm sure if I paused at this point to ask questions, I would have a lot of people, answering the questions in different ways. What is leadership? I'll see a lot of people, saying leadership means a lot to you. But the fact that you're here as a young African mind tells me that you are already alert to the subject of leadership. And I'd like to congratulate you. I really wished if many of our leaders in Cohort had been alive to the subject of leadership as in their youth. Probably they would have learned and unlearned certain things and will be in a better place as a continent. But leadership, very simply, a lot of definitions. As a noun, you can feel it in different ways. Oh, leadership is about leading people. So we know that. Leading an organization, leading a nation, we know that. A position, mostly seen as a position. An authority, something that gives you power to do and to command. By and large, leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. Congratulations, young minds, for paying attention to the subject of influence in your youth. Indeed, you are worthy of congratulations. But let's pay attention in a way that is absolutely critical, in a way that enables us to show up as the future of Africa, driving the growth of Africa. Peter Drucker, a very, very, accomplished writer, says about leadership. He says things like, leadership and management are two different things. He says that leadership is about doing the right things, whilst management is about doing things right. Nobody really wants to be just a manager. It's about leadership. So having said that, everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. The very essence of leadership is often that there is a vision to be accomplished. So the question is there leadership without a vision? I make bold to say that it'll be tough to be leading without a vision. You've got to have a vision clearly articulated that people can line behind you. And in lining behind you, they can then say, you know what? We are going somewhere. So leadership starts with envisioning, clearly articulated. So whether it's at a personal level or at an organizational level, the question is, where are you going to? What is the pursuit about for you? Where are you going to? Leadership is at the center of so much. Leadership is about, pulling the team together. It's about leading people. It's about exercising power, authority. It's about motivating people. It's about getting work done. It's about communicating effectively. It's about taking on responsibility and enabling people to also take on responsibility. Leadership requires skills, competence, a whole lot of it. Often many people, there are very little things in life you do that you get perfect at without practicing. And the truth is, leadership is one of those things you can never get right and do very well and excel at a level of mastery without effective practice. So into that space, can I please ask everyone? So we have a good understanding of what we're talking about. Leadership, what are we talking about? There are many schools of thoughts on leadership, many theories. I'm going to be zooming in on a particular emerging thought of who a leader is before I align it with leadership and the future. So there are many theories, many great theories about leadership that I absolutely admire. But I thought I'd just zero down on a few, believing that we've got young brains here from, far and wide, young brains. So here we go. If I go, starting with the great man theory, the suggestion here is that man has the ability to lead. Yeah, is an inherent. The suggestion of this theory is that, great leaders are born. The best leaders are born. So in other words, when we say, congratulations, a child is born, this theory tells us a leader is born. Now the jury is out. Are leaders born or made? If you ask me, what's my view? I think it's both. I think some people are born with traits, which is where we go to the traits theory. I think some people are born with traits of leadership, traits that suggest they will do some things well, traits that suggest they can influence naturally. Okay, let me calm down and give you an example. I'm sure we've all seen that video. Mommy, calm down. Mommy, you have to calm down. I just want you to rest. I'm sure we've all seen that video. That video shows a child demonstrating leadership, attempting, despite all odds, a child who has already done wrong and the mother is attempting to discipline, despite all odds, calming the mother down. Leadership is influence. Attempting to navigate the mom's anger to get what he wants. So when you say leaders are made and leaders are born, the jury is out there. But are you a leader? Would you like to be a leader? Towards what purpose and intent? I keep saying it, that leadership is not one of those, it's not one of those roles that everyone should desire to be. And that you're not a leader doesn't make you less a person. Leadership traits must be well understood. So the trait theory says that, look, there are some attributes that help us, with this jury on whether leaders are born or made. He says some people are, they're just naturally born with certain things, intelligence. Some people just have exposure to certain education that prepares them for leadership much more than others. Some are just naturally born with those instincts that make you a good leader. As I've talked about, mommy, calm down. How do you explain that? How do you explain the child in the playground? When you take children to school in the playground and the child just says, everybody follow me, and everybody just begins to follow the child. Natural tendencies for leadership. So different theories suggest that leaders can be born and leaders can be made. The contingency theory says that, look, leaders have to find a balance between behaviors. It depends. The contingency theory says the traits that you show, the behaviors that leaders bring, the best form of the appearance of a leader is when the leader is in balance of behaviors based on the context. Still going on, it depends based on the context. The situational people come to the table to say, how you show up as a leader depends on the people you're working with and what degree of attention you need to pay to them. And then finally, behaviorally, there are, sometimes a technical requirement to be a leader. To be a leader in a finance space, you've got to have finance skills. To be a leader broadly at a general management level, you've got to have people skills, ability to harness everyone together to achieve a particular objective. But moving on very quickly is to say that, as I said earlier, we could talk and talk and talk about leadership and we will not land. But emerging trends, what are those things that are coming up? We're hearing constructs like authentic leadership. And I assume that where Mrs. Cecilia landed before I came on was on the note of tending you towards authentic leadership. Because I heard a strong dose of morals. I heard the voiceover after she spoke, talk about, she referenced a lot of scriptures, a voiceover on, becoming who you should become the godly way. So authentic leadership recently came into the construct of leadership. And I thought I'd zero in on that as a key emerging trend for you to note in leadership. Authentic leadership is simply where the leader is genuine. I wish I could stop here and ask you the questions. Do we have genuine leaders around us? Can I please get into the chat room? I'm going into the chat room now. People, please let me hear your voice, leaders. Let me hear your voice, leaders. Do we think that there are genuine leaders around you? Are there genuine leaders around? Are there genuine leaders around? Our leaders genuine? I'd like to read it. I'd like to read it in the chat room. Are there genuine leaders around? Have you run into anyone? Are there genuine leaders around? Yes. I can't seem to get any responses. In the chat room, yes. Temitope says yes. Temitope, why do you say yes? In the chat room, everybody, yes, we have genuine leaders. Yes, many, fantastic. Mary says many. How do you know? Talk to me, guys, talk to me. You have genuine leaders around, authentic leaders who are genuine, many. I'm glad. This is Africa. Africa is our home. We must drive her growth. Without leadership, there's no growth. There are not so many now. Madame, yes, thank you, Madame. She says there are not so many genuine leaders. The not so genuine leaders are louder than the genuine leaders, but there are genuine leaders. I'd like to move on from Mr. Akintomide's comments. Yes, Temitope, I see you. You see some genuine leaders through their commitment and ability to serve. And Abdullah says there are not so many. And Abdullah, I do agree with you. You align with Mrs. Akintomide's comments that there are not too many. So that's where you and I come in. The emerging trend, and there's a book called Navigating Through Your True North. The book is called Your True North. Please Google it up, The True North, and find yourself, try and get yourself a copy online or buy yourself a copy. It talks about authentic leadership. We're talking about genuine leadership. Leaders that are driven by concerns of ethical conduct. That is the latest field of leadership. Ethics and conduct. An authentic leader versus a traditional leader, they're different. And I'm going to take you into the point of difference shortly. An authentic leader genuinely desires to serve. And he wants to serve others through that leadership. So when they seek a role or they seek a position, they are seeking a position and a role for the objective of the larger good. Not really for the money or the prestige of themselves. They are guided by the dictates of their hearts. They lead with purpose. They lead with values. They lead with principles, and they lead with the heart. They cultivate a lot of relationships to enable their work get done, because you can't get your work done by yourself. They lead by demonstrating excellence. Now, you can see the traditional side. You can see the authentic side. We're talking about emerging trends in leadership. Emerging trends in leadership. It's good to lead with a goal, to lead with a vision, to lead with, but when you begin to lead with a selfish agenda and with you in the center of what you want to achieve, your ego is bigger in the stake of things. And you're only interested in the transactions that would help you achieve the fulfillment of your ego. But an authentic leader stretches beyond that. Oh, we have seen some authentic leaders. But perhaps indeed the noise is still, at a lower decimal. That, I believe, is one of the objectives of African young brains, to help us build our leadership capability such that we can indeed have a louder octave for our authentic leaders across Africa. Another book to be recommended, I think it's by the same author actually, The True North and Authentic Leadership by Bill Judge, are books that you should seek to buy. These are leaders that are genuine to serve. They have a purpose. They've got strong values. They build strong relationships. They've got self-discipline, and they act from the heart. Oh, I'm getting excited now. There are some authentic leaders around us. Look around. Look around. I tried not to limit it just to Africa, and everyone I put here, I could actually see in the sense of having demonstrated authentic leadership. Ifola Adiola of Guarantee Trust. Ola Adiola is one of the founders of Guarantee Trust Bank. I was in a leadership course once upon a time, and he was used as an example. And the example that was used was where he was said to have been one of those years in the early days, Guarantee Trust, didn't meet their numbers they said, and a bonus, which is discretionary, was indeed meant to be paid. And story has it, history has it, that Mr. Diola said, no, we cannot pay out a bonus. We haven't met the requirements. And some other people felt, look, but we can, but we can, but we can. I said, no, but we are not going to until we meet all the requirements for the benefit of all stakeholders. And guess what? The board, the other leaders I hear said, look, we can make a case for this. And he said, if you go ahead to do this, I will resign my appointment. And the others had to say, you know what, if it's this important to you, that's a sense of principle we're talking about, we will not do it anymore. Indra Nooyi, this is an Indian who goes into America to become the president of PepsiCo, an American organization, an Indian American and a female. She had a purpose to turn around things. She had a purpose and she left PepsiCo better than she met it. Shola David-Boha is somebody I've been blessed to work with directly as a chief executive of Stanbic IBTC in Nigeria. And now today is chief executive at the Africa regions level, where she looks after 19 countries. I learned from this woman integrity, governance, strict governance. Shola will keep asking you, is there a governance for this? If there's no governance for this decision you're trying to make, she didn't understand, look, use your power as a CE to make the decision. She goes, no, can we have a governance in place so that what we do for A, we can do for B? Authentic leaderships, principled leadership. At Tedo Peter's side, again, another boss in the Stanbic IBTC world, who now sits on the board of Standard Bank Group. Someone who started a bank at the age of 33 and purposefully intended, this bank must outlive me. And the rest is history today. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Oh, all of the only minister that was one time multiple ministers. The rest is history, leaving a place better than you met it and going on without any story and scams around you. John F. Kennedy, of the United States of America. The American dream today is incomplete without the purpose and commitment with which presidents like JF Kennedy served. I could go on and on into our wider world. People, leaders who are beginning to think about purpose. Leaders thinking about purpose. And I could continue. We've seen some beyond secular faces on the screen now. We've seen rulers, we've seen church leaders. We can see people in leadership development. Ndudi started at a very young age to build leaders. Today, the story is different, from what started as Leap Foundation, looking after leaders and building leaders for nation building. The story continues. Authentic leadership, authentic leadership, authentic leadership. Africa could do with a lot more noise, a louder octave on authentic leadership. But looking into the future, because I've been asked to bring the future of work into this, the truth is that the world is changing. So to take us to where we want to be, we're going to need a bit more than authentic leadership. We're going to need leaders who understand the future. We're going to need leaders who are willing to pay the price to ensure that we are ready to align with the changes in today's world. The world is changing, and it's changing at a rapid stage. Rapid stage, and there's quite a lot happening at the same time. So we say we are in a VUCA world. VUCA means volatile. VUCA means uncertain. VUCA means complex. VUCA, V-U-C-A, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. What does that mean? It means that leaders have to be a lot more astute at leading to ensure that they can survive the speed and the pace of change that is going on in the world. Oh, let's talk about the change somewhat. And what challenge does that present to leaders? Across the world, it's known that, some leadership challenges across the world relate to the leader's ability to inspire others, to develop others, to work with a team. But what I'd like to bring out here is the leader's ability to guide change. In a changing world, a leader must be that individual that understands the change. Otherwise, you cannot lead effectively in a world that is changing at a rapid pace. So what does this change mean? The pace at which the world is changing is leaving us asking a lot of questions. The future of work is a big part of this conversation. So the world has become VUCA, so volatile, you have to keep up pace with it. Emerging markets all over the place. Emerging markets, Asia, we're running to cope with the speed with which technology is advancing in Asia. Africa rising. You and I are excited. We can see the leaps and bounds of markets and economies opening up in Africa. And then the future of work, the rapid advancement in technology, and at the same time, artificial intelligence and what that is doing to us. The world is changing rapidly. When we say the world is changing rapidly, you know, I try to say to people, just calm down and ask yourself, what has changed in my world in the last 6 months? Of course, COVID-19 compelled all of us to change in a rapid pace. The world is changing in the speed of light. And a big part of this change is a disruption that has happened in the world of work. So when we talk about changes happening in the world of work, changes happening, you know, that presents the future of work, is nothing that none of us can, you know, relate with. And I'm going to talk through, you know, in very simple terms, what do we mean by the future of work? What changes happening in work, in the world of work, is impacting, what changes happening in the world is impacting work so significantly that leaders must pay attention. So the future of work is very simple. And I always say to people, you must understand what is driving the future of work to be able to navigate the future of work, to be able to lead in an environment that is changing, impacted by the future of work. Let me tell you what this is all about. The future and leadership is about understanding what has changed. Remember, we said a leader has a vision and is intended, is focused on how do I enable resources to achieve that vision. Let's imagine that the vision is to grow, you know, leaders in Africa. We must understand what the you know, changes in the future of work presents in this regard. So I'm going to take it very quickly. There are 5 factors driving the future of work. And I'm going to ask you to please pay attention to these 5 factors. 5 factors driving the future of work. And the first factor, and in no particular order, there are 5 factors driving the future of work, but there's one that I'm really, really very excited about. There's first of all, hyperglobalization. Hyperglobalization meaning the manner in which markets are closing up. So the world is now a global village. The world is a small globe, but as small as a village. So all of that is driving the future of work. There's profound societal changes, the rise of mobile. Everyone is moving around with a device, without which you don't feel complete. So we're talking about profound societal changes. We're talking about the rise of mobile. We're talking about rapid advancements in technology and artificial intelligence. That is my favorite. A big driver of the future of work. Rapid advancement in technology and artificial intelligence. We're talking about changes in demography. The demographic changes is such that we've got 5 generations working in average working, average work environment. What does that mean for you as a leader? Rising advancement in technology and artificial intelligence. And the 5th one is the drive for a low carbon economy. All of these 5 factors go a long way in defining the new world of work where we work today. All of these 5 factors, particularly the rapid advancement in technology and artificial intelligence, they all come together to impact a new world of work, to present a new world of work. They impact very strongly the work, what we do, how we do it, who we do it with. They impact the work, the worker, and the workplace. The question is, what should a leader be mindful of in this regard? What should an authentic leader who's got purpose, who's got a vision, be mindful of in this regard? Remember that I said, the world is changing. We do need more than authenticity to rule this world. We do need more than authenticity to grow our continent, Africa. We need purposeful, future-oriented, authentic leaders. Purposeful, future-oriented, authentic leaders. So the 5 factors impacting the future of work are, they must be seen together. You must see that there's nothing you can do about the rapid advancement in technology and the future of work. Nothing we can do about that. It's going to continue to reign in terms of change. Before you are done buying version 1.0 and connecting it, i.e. technology, you have version 2.0 to think about. And it's going to continue that way. So all of this has redefined the work that we do. Who is doing the work? Who are we doing the work with? And where are we doing the work? And I'll touch very quickly on how, all of this is played out. The worker. What's the impact on the worker? We say that the future of work has a lot to do with rapid advancement in technology and rise of artificial intelligence. And we see robotics, we see the big data come to the fore. We see so much focus. Why is there so much focus on data? Because with technology, you generate data in the speed of light. We see that we're going to see a blurring line between the human and machine. We see robotics, and this is real. Before you start thinking, oh, is this real? It is absolutely real. We are in the world, technology is not just, enabling things, it's ruling the world now. Leaders must be mindful, absolutely mindful of where we are today. Absolutely mindful that the future of work, what we call the future, is coming. When you say something is coming in the future, it's like anticipated. It's here with us already now. Let me show you the case study of my organization. I proudly show it, that in my organization, we got 4,000 plus employees, plus some 5 robots. That is the reality of today. With rapid advancement in technology and artificial intelligence, we got robots able to do some of the things that, we had humans doing before. Now, it doesn't mean that robots, because when people say, well, the future of work, when will it come? I answer very simply. I answer them very simply, the way, one of my favorite authors and writers on the future of work answers. She likes to say very simply that the future of work comes when you begin to see technology replacing jobs. The future of work comes when you begin to see technological capability increasing exponentially in the speed of light. The future of work comes when you begin to see knowledge becoming hugely digitalized, becoming ubiquitous. You begin to say to yourself, we are in the future of work already. This is the future, where you have, as far as I can tell, where you have man and human, the best of man and machine, collaborating together. What does that mean for you as a leader? What does that mean for a purposeful, authentic leader who's future-oriented? What does that mean? It means that there are huge shifts in skills required. To succeed in today's world, you must be, you must be future-oriented, you must be capable of doing what a digital environment requires of you. I mean, come COVID-19 and the lockdown that we all experienced, we all saw that we struggled, to remain connected with the lockdown without our devices. We struggled to remain connected. What does that mean? This is real. This is real. What does this mean? This is real. It is real that we are in the future of work. The question is, are we ready? There's going to be a requirement. To be a leader, you've got to be skilled. There's going to be a requirement to grow your digital literacy. And I've just, I've bobbed that up on the screen. Digital literacy is going to be big. Once upon a time, this research says that digital literacy will be 680% in higher demand by the year 2020. Guess what? We're now in 2020. This was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was predicted. And with COVID-19, I take a view that we're actually in a lot more than 680% demand for digital literacy. The question is, are we ready? Are we ready as young brains? Are we ready as young leaders? Are we willing to embrace this call for digital literacy and digital acquisition of knowledge? Because like it or not, we are in that future now. It will continue to be called the future of work, but guess what? It's closer to you than ever. In some instances, it's here already. We do know that only organizations who, in my view, were future ready, and that is leadership. Only organizations who, in my view, were future ready, were able to respond adaptly, were able to respond swiftly and quickly, post-pandemic, when we all had to be locked down, because the truth is you had to leverage technology to deliver value to your customers. Now, how prepared are you as a young brain? How prepared are you as a leader who's looking forward to taking on positions of leadership, in this new world of work, the future of work and leadership? There are 6 trends shaping the future of leadership for 2030 I'd like to talk about. The first, as I rightly, just bumped up, is artificial intelligence. The second is the pace of change. When we say the pace of change, with the rapid advancement in technology and artificial intelligence, you're going to have, it's predicted 5 billion people connected. What can you do with 5 billion people connected? If you're not a person of relationships, you cannot leverage the advantage of 5 billion people connected. It's a new talent landscape. I call it the open talent economy. The gig economy, the rise of the gig economy. What do we mean by the gig economy? The gig economy means people largely working, using their devices from end to end, sourcing the job, doing the job, all being discharged. It's the rise of mobile. So it impacts even the way we work, who we work with. Now we see is going to be the best of man and machine. The kind of work that we do, driven by skill requirement, hugely shifting from what we knew administratively. Every leader, every young brain should begin to ask themselves the question, which skills are declining? Which skills are trending? And which skills are in high demand? It is when you do this that you then can tell where you should be focusing on. Otherwise, as a leader, what you don't want to do, as a young brain, what you don't want to do is to invest in obsolete skills that are already fading away. There are skills that are declining, skills whose application would be in a repetitive and transactional form are declining. Skills that are trending, analytical thinking, hugely trending, critical thinking, leadership and social influence, because there's going to be so much connection. Social influence is trending. How present are you, young brain, on social media? How present are you? What does it do for you? Presence is one. Leveraging is another. How present are you on social media? How well do you know to leverage social media to create value, both for your personal brand, your leadership brand, and at the same time to respond to the requests of value in society? Oh, we're talking about skills having to do with problem solving, reasoning, originality, creativity beyond just creativity and thinking outside the box, but originality, the use of initiative, systems analysis. We're talking about active learning. Once upon a time, IBM predicted that in the year 1980s, they predicted thereabout 1980s that knowledge, the speed of turnaround of knowledge was about 12 months to 13 months at that time. So you could learn something and it's still active and not obsolete for like 12 or 13 months. But guess what? In 2020 now and beyond, it's predicted that it is now 12 hours knowledge, the turnaround time, velocity of change of knowledge. How ready are you to learn? It's a new talent landscape, young minds. It's a new talent landscape. You would need to be an authentic leader that is alive and understands the future. So on this side, you can see purpose and meaning, morals, ethics, transparency, all of that is authentic leadership. And then on the other side, you can also see the call for you to understand technology and the pace at which change is happening. The factors impacting the change are so compelling. There's nothing you can do about it. The change will continue. Oh, demographic changes will continue. Societal changes will continue. Rapid advancement in technology and artificial intelligence will continue. The question is, do you understand the implication for your skill sets as a young brain and as a leader in the making? Trending skills, growing skills, analytical skills, complex problem-solving skills, creativity, originality, leadership, and social influence. I keep saying it, social influence. In an environment where 5 billion people are connected, you must understand how to be socially influential. I could stay on that for another one. I'm very excited about the topic of social influence. But rising again, going forward on future of work and leadership, emerging trends in leadership and the future of work. In a world that is driven by artificial intelligence and technology, where the followership is now a social media concept, as I said. What is the place of leadership? I could stop there. What is the place of leadership? I'd like this question to be answered in the chat room. And I'm going to go into the chat room again and get your views. What is the place of leadership? What is a place of leadership? In a world now driven by artificial intelligence, authentic leaders, are you in the room? What is the place of leadership in a world driven by artificial intelligence and technology? Followership is a social media concept. To be honest with you, you don't have a presence on LinkedIn. You don't have a presence on all the social media platforms. Where is your presence? And where are you building social influence? Is anybody answering my question? There's a question on the screen I'd like to see. Is anybody answering my question? In a world of AI and technology, followership is now a social media concept. What is the role? What is the implication of this for leadership? Is anybody answering? There are no right or wrong answers. How does this play out in your mind? How does this play out in your mind? Yes. I'm waiting for a first prompt. Hello? I don't have anything in the chat room. Very critical and indispensable. It's a must to set up, correct? Yes, we must begin to make ourselves indispensable. Thank you for that. And to make ourselves indispensable means what? It means we have to invest in technology. It means we have to begin to obtain, advance, make sure that we, not only embrace digital, but make sure that we begin to build digital capabilities. Make sure that we begin to, to make yourself, I like that, make yourself be very critical and indispensable. But the missing link is what makes you indispensable. It is your skill set, young minds. It's your skill sets that makes you indispensable. You've got to bring yourself to the point where you're saying, you know what? I understand what it takes in a world driven by artificial intelligence and innovative technology. Leadership is burdened with a creative and impactful furtherance of possibilities as the world pushes forward. Thank you, Elijah. Absolutely, you are correct. Leadership is burdened with that. Is burdened with how do we ensure that our people remain relevant? How do we ensure that how do I ensure that I remain relevant in a world that is driven, that changes at the speed of light, in a world where innovation is rapid and the only thing that is constant is change? How do I make myself relevant? How do I gain a large audience? I like that as a care. And gaining a large audience means you've got to leverage that social media concept. Yes, leadership needs to be advanced in technology, both online and offline. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Technical crew, you may need to help us with this max on the screen. It does show that something is going on back end. Help us, technical team. Yes, and this is the answer, ladies and gentlemen. All you have said is correct. Leaders must lead to embrace the future of work. Leaders must lead to embrace the future of work. The future is here. And leaders must lead to embrace the future of work. Some people are in the waiting room. Please help let them in. There's one of the authors of the future of work that I admire very strongly, a lady called Linda Grattan, another book that you should try and buy. It talks about the shifts you must make as a leader to embrace the future of work and remain, purposeful, remain envisioned. She talks about 3 shifts. She says as leaders, we must move from being a generalist to becoming a serial master. I'll explain that in detail. Move from being an isolated competitor to becoming a connector, and move from being what she calls a voracious consumer to becoming an impassioned producer. So what are we talking about? Shallow generalists. She said in a world where learning is moving in the speed in which we have calculated, you find a piece of idea or information that becomes obsolete in 12 hours, 13 hours. You've got to move from becoming a jack of all trades, master of none, to becoming a master of many, not master of one, ladies and gentlemen. The leaders of tomorrow, the authentic leaders of tomorrow, whose achievements we're going to celebrate, who will help us drive the growth of Africa, are those who have serial mastery in a number of these trending skills and competencies. They are those who have serial mastery. So What are you waiting for? What's your digital literacy portfolio of skills looking like? Is it looking like a generalist? Oh, I can do so many things. I tell the young ones, I take a view that in your world, oh, you are so blessed. Make sure that you can account for double-digit skills. So when you count your skill set, you're not telling me you can do, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor. My answer really is so, yeah, and what else can you do? I'm a doctor. Oh, I said I'm a doctor. Yeah, congratulations. And what else can you do? You should begin to, think outside of the box in the specializations that you do. I suggest to people who say, oh, I'm going to school, I'm going to read business management. And I say to them, business management and what? And innovation and artificial intelligence and the world for the several ands is where we are now. The world for the several ands. So serial mastery is the name of the game. Now, from isolated competitor to innovative connector. From isolated competitor to innovative connector is leveraging on the connections that technology has availed. So if you have 5 billion people connected, why do you want to be a soloist? Why wouldn't you leverage on other partnerships and possibilities, existing to really be the leader in your world? Voracious consumer to impassioned producer. It's very simple. It's not just about consumption alone. In a world where social capital becomes king, you must be given back as you are receiving. So the future of work and leadership is where these 3 shifts are made. Young brains, are you ready? It's an exciting world. Are you ready to quit being a generalist and move to become a serial master? And it's not just about degrees. The degrees are good, they're brilliant. I've got a first degree in economics, I've got an MBA, and I'm looking forward, by the grace of God, to doing a PhD. So I do understand that these are, the quality of your intellectual capability is big on degrees. But at the same time, it's also big on professional specialist courses that you can do. I've got professional specialist courses in human resources, and as much as you can, get out of your comfort zone. Remember, even if you're running a business for yourself, you must be shifting towards being an innovative connector rather than being isolated to yourself alone. And as you take, be continuously giving back. I'm going to reach for a landing shortly. So I'm trying to bring it all together. So bringing it all together, the question is, what are the implications for you as a leader? What are the implications for you as a young brain? What should you begin to do? Is the future of work here? I can tell you without batting an eyelid, the future of work is here. The reality of the best of man and machine is excitement of being able to work at an accelerated level of information wave is here. Now the question is, are you ready? Are you ready? Young ones, are you ready? I'm going to be playing the video shortly. After the video, I'm going to debrief the video and ask a few questions. How does the video hit you? And some of you are going to tell us, get ready in the chat room to tell us exactly how it hits you, bringing it all together in a world that is charged, filled with rapid advancement in technology and artificial intelligence. What are the implications for leaders? What are the implications for you as a person, as a leader in the making, as a leader as an authentic leader of purpose, getting ready to grow our continent, Africa? I'm going to ask you to please hold, ladies and gentlemen, as I stop sharing this slide, and I'm going to play the video shortly. Please hold on. In a minute, I should be there. All right, we're almost there. Okay.
Imagine the future of work. What do you see? Do you see factories full of robots and offices teeming with AI? Do you predict that changing demographics will rewrite the rules of who works and how long? Do you anticipate the rise of a global gig economy where most people are working for themselves? All of these scenarios are emerging, but looking at them in isolation misses the point. We need to zoom out and see the big picture. Evolving technology, demographics, and power dynamics are all connected, and those connections make all the difference in the future of work. If intelligent machines can do many tasks now performed by people, what uniquely human skills will be valued? If the half-life of skills necessary for employment continues to dwindle, how can individuals, employers, and society as a whole ensure the learning modules in the education system keep up? As the global workforce gets older, younger, and more diverse, how will leaders and organizational culture have to adapt? If alternative work arrangements like short-term gigs and self-employment become more ubiquitous and mainstream, could that have profound effects on not just how we work, but where we work, how we communicate, and even how cities are designed? If augmented reality gives workers access to vast amounts of data and assistance, will workers need to become more tech-fluent for the technology to deliver on its promise? The future of work is coming. In some cases, it's already here. It's time to get to work.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So how did that hit you? We're reaching for a landing now. How did that hit you? How did that hit you going into the chat room? How did that hit you? How did that hit you? The future of work is here. What are the implications for you as a leader, as a young brain? The future of work is here. What are the implications for you as a young brain? What should you be doing? Okay. Future of work is here. What are the implications for you as a young brain? What are the implications for you as a young brain? What are the implications with technology? Yes, I can see that. What are the implications? Send your answers here. Yes, thank you. What are the implications for you? What are the implications for you as a young brain? I'm going to move on. And I'm hoping you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen clearly?
Yes.
Are there any other issues on the screen? But you can see the screens loud and you can see the screen clearly. Okay. So the future of work is here now. Can we answer the question? Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm in the chat room again. I'm in the chat room again, a lot. Yes, I should not invest in obsolete skills. Yes. Are you ready? Can you answer the question, young brains? I'm here for you. Early this morning, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready, young brains? Are you ready? Are you ready, young brains? Are you ready? The implications are that you need to constantly, consistently put yourselves in the forefront, invest in technology, correct? In multiple skill sets, correct? Multiple is the word, multiple skill sets. Invest in that, yes. You have to be engaged in the value of human skills, correct? You're getting ready. Thank you, Ezekiah. I like that word, getting ready. You've got to be active. Yes, yes. Activate your mindset towards this. Invest continuously in your skill set. You know, thank you, thank you, thank you, young brains. Now I feel you. Now I hear you. Thank you, young brains. There we go. There we go. Thank you, young brains. The future of work is here. And I'm concluding right now. I'm concluding. The new world of work is upon you. You must be proactive, young ones. You must be proactive. You cannot afford to be reactive. You must be creative, innovative. The leaders, of tomorrow are those who are today creative, innovative, knowledgeable about this wave of change, knowledgeable about this future of work and digitization, knowledgeable in such a manner that they are constantly upskilling and retooling themselves to be optimally relevant. It's about relevance and leading, positioning yourself to be able to lead this change. Learn new skills. And in learning the new skills, it means you must practice them as you learn them. Seek out opportunities to learn them. The truth is, you have to embrace the future. Embracing the future means responding and not reacting. Reacting is, oh, this is not for me. Oh, I'm doing well where I am. Oh, I'll wait for my organization to do the needful. Responding means you take ownership as a person. You identify with this wave of change as a leader that you are, getting ready to impact and grow Africa. You embrace the change, position yourself as one of those leading this drive, leading the creation of value. And creation of value can be across private sector, public sector, leading the creation of value by leveraging technology. I hope this has been useful, and I thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to take questions at this time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Olufunke Amobi, the country head, Human Capital Stanbic IBTC Holding PLC. We thank you so much for that beautiful presentation. Please send in your questions into the chat room. She spoke to us about leaders. She defined what leadership is. She said leaders can be born and leaders can be made.
Mm-hmm.
She also told us that a leader must have vision. A leader must be adapted to changes. Then she mentioned 5 factors driving the future of work. Hyperglobalization, rapid advancement in technology and artificial intelligence, and others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She also mentioned the future of work that is there already when you have the best of man and machine collaborating together. Then she mentioned the 6 trends shaping the future of leadership for 2030. Number 1 is artificial intelligence and technology, the pace of change, new talent landscape, purpose and meaning, morality, ethics, and transparency, then globalization. I hope you are sending in our questions. She also spoke about the future position in leadership is when these 3 shifts are made, from shallow generalist to serial master, when you move from isolated competitor to innovative connector, then from voracious consumer to impassioned producer. She suggested some books for us to read. I hope we can look for them also in the chat room. One of the books she suggested is The Shift, The Future of Work is Already Here by Linda Grattan. Then she showed us a video that revealed to us how we work and where we work, how robots replace human activities. So having listened to all this, you can also go to our YouTube channel to watch the video all over again. Thank you so much for this presentation. Funke Amobi, the country head human capital, Stanbic IBTC Holding PLC. Then we take questions. There were 2 questions initially sent when our first presenter spoke. I think she has already answered one in the chat room. Let me read the second question out. Someone asked, sometimes people, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Sometimes
yes, I can hear you, madam.
introvert leaders are someone that is weak and may not be able to carry others along effectively, like extrovert leaders. So the question is kindly advised, but she has answered that question in the chat room. Ajimoko Ayodeji, you can read for the answer in the chat room. Cecilia has answered your question. Then the second question is, how do we maintain core values and not allow false leaders to be distracted from true leadership in their quest and search for power and money? I think this question is meant for Madam Cecilia Akintomi. You can answer, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Funke, for your presentation. It was fantastic. I'm looking forward to reading it again after this. Now, being true to your core values, you know, we started by saying that you have to be true to yourself and knowing yourself. When you define the type of leader that you want to be, this is a value-based, principle-based, integrity-based leader, then don't be derailed. You have said, this is who I am. And sometimes it means reinforcing it, saying it publicly, letting your team know that this is who you are. These are the values that are important to you. And so when there are other options that do not respect those values, you actually stay true to the values you have communicated as your values. Then it is so important, even as leaders, you need to have accountability mentors, accountability counselors that you go to and you speak with. You can never be alone. You have to make sure you have people that you remain accountable to, no matter what level. They may be your peers, a group of peers that are your accountability committee, your accountability team. And because you know you're going to have that accountability discussion over and over again with these people, it keeps you true. It makes you not derail. It makes you not sell out. So you absolutely need people like that to keep you true. When I returned from Abidjan, I found myself in a situation that I did not immediately have the same type of accountability support as I had in Ivory Coast and in Tunisia. So being back in Nigeria, I have had to actually go look for people who will serve that role for me to keep me safe and make sure I don't derail. And then also knowing that I am accountable to my team. And because I have expressed to them that this is the type of leader I am, these are the values I consider important, you do not want to disappoint them also. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Hello? Hello?
You can hear you.
Okay. And do we have any question for the second speaker? It's like our moderator, we've lost the contact. Do you have any question in the chat room? Okay, there is a question from Paul Awosino. I believe that even for us from social science and humanity, we must have the legal skill back to our, I think that should be a comment. I don't think, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Just ask your question. Let's give that privilege to 2 or 3 people. If you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
I dropped a question on the chat room. It has not been read.
Okay, can you just tell us, just ask your question.
All right. The question is, most of these skill sets in AI and technology and IT, they are it's very expensive to acquire them because most times we don't get tutors in these relevant courses here in Nigeria. So most times we have to take online courses and certificates, which when you get there and you want to register for such and you see the amount in dollars or in euros or in pounds, you get very scared because you're like, where do I get this amount of money? Okay, so are there, which ways like can we acquire these skill sets in affordable manners? Are there, can we get access to scholarships or I don't know, maybe we need those for developing countries like Africa that are affordable. Are there any schemes like that?
Thank you very much. And I'm particularly excited as a lady that asked that question. Yeah. There's quite a lot of free resources. To be honest with you, we haven't even leveraged the free resources. Udera, Udacity, Coursera, a lot of this digital programs, digital certifications, a lot of them have, you know, there's free, you would be one edge already above others. Then, because digital skills is not just the, if you like, the techie ones, there's also the techie related ones, business analysis, data analysis, all of those. The first level, free, is quite a lot that takes you to the level of digital literacy. Free. Google them up. Coursera, Udemy, Udacity, they all have free programs. The next level are the programs that are themselves not particularly very expensive, and they usually would put in scholarships. I was in a program about 3 weeks ago organized by AnyPro. The organization is called AnyPro, and it was for ladies. And the focus was on data, building data skills for ladies. And there was a speaker, and they offered 5 scholarships. This morning, I woke up to a very exciting testimonial from one of the women who took one of the scholarships. And guess what? Today, she's gotten a job in Ibadan. She took one of the scholarships and she did the work. So the problem is, I think the problem may be that we haven't explored enough. There are free courses. There are scholarship aided courses. So you can put up your hand for the scholarship. And finally, there are international grants that allow you to do those international programs. But you have to search for them. You have to search for them, and you have to be, you have to be willing to pay the price to make yourself the obvious choice that should be given that opportunity. There are many scholarships, international scholarships, but there are many people gone in for them. So you have to present yourself in a way that, makes you really stand out and the one that gets, such offers. So there are available programs out there, a lot of them, a lot of free courses can really take you a notch higher. So I recommend start from the free courses to start with. Then go to the level of, looking for the scholarships. There are lots of national scholarships for those certifications. Look for a scholarship and begin to acquire some of those certification and courses. And when you get to the international ones, the ones for MIT, and those big, organizations, or delivered by those big international organizations, then you need an international scholarship. And there are scholarships. You just have to be, deliberate about looking for them.
Thank you. That's very great.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Good. I don't know whether Mrs. Celia also wants to add to that. Hello, Ma.
Hello. No, I think I think Funke has well answered or well responded to that question, because Coursera was the one that immediately came to mind, and it's one of those that she referred to.
Good, good. Is there any other question? Any other one that anyone that wants to ask question? Here is opportunity for you to directly get answer from our guest speakers.
There's a question in the chat room
Okay.
from Okafor. The question is to our first speaker: how do we play office politics to leverage visibility and recognition?
That is a very good practical question. If it's about human beings, there will be politics, and I'm sure that very soon the robots themselves will learn to play politics, or will be used to play politics. It's a reality you cannot get away from. And so I always say, mind your relationships. Relationships are going to be critical. Yes, don't brown nose. And don't brown nose, mind your relationships. Be very good to people, regardless of their level. Junior staff, mid-level, your peers, just make sure that you are good to everybody. Even the security guards, when you come in the morning, the way you greet them, that's the first thing I would say. Mind your relationships. The second thing is make sure your delivery is fantastic. Whatever you're doing, just make sure your delivery is fantastic. Let your value add be clear. What value are you bringing in the team? So, and be innovative about your value add. So there's the work that you do and the value that the work and the assignments you're given. There's that, but there's also what you do in addition. So you can start a department newsletter. This is your initiative. You go to your department head. Oh, I would love to start a department newsletter. You brought an innovation. You brought contact between you and your superior, both for value. Others, on the basis of politics, just build relationships with no value. You start to distinguish yourself because you are bringing in innovation, you are bringing in value. Some go to just gossip. You go for value. You start doing, top 10 articles of the month in your area of expertise, and you start sending something like that to your department. You get noticed immediately. The top 10 books in our area of expertise. You set those books, you send it out. So in my view, people play dirty politics and give no value. In my career, I knew that I wasn't good at that dirty politics. And I also knew that I wasn't I wasn't the most social person. That was why that question about being an introvert was good. So I knew that whatever I had to do it so well to make up for not being the most social, not being there to go to the clubs, not being there to have lunch with people or have a glass of wine at the bar or something like that. Once you know that this is your own weakness, the one you can do, you make sure you do it so well that after they come back from the bar, what you have delivered brings value to all of them. It's not that you shouldn't be social at all. Yes, you will socialize. It's just that you know that maybe you cannot socialize or play the dirty politics. So I tell people, if you're going to get involved in office politics, let yours be value-based. Bring something critical, something that responds to the need of not just your superior, the need of the department. Come with innovations, plan, plan like an evening for your department. Once they start seeing that this person brings value, each innovation you bring, each value you bring stands you out. That's the sort of politics I advise everybody to play. And then in playing politics, please keep the end in mind. What is the return that you are looking for? Because in the conversation, somebody is going to ask you about what you want, and they may ask you only once. What are you looking for? What are you hoping to achieve? What's the next level for you? Always keep that end in mind so that when you get asked that question, even once, you have the answer. Thank you.
Wow, that's great. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. If I may just add a little bit to what Madame has said, and I think that office politics is real, regardless of how we look at it. It's real. You've got to understand the informal network of your office. Also ensure that you spend some time building your network. The most, if you like, the most disruptive thing to do to yourself in a workplace is to be a loner. It's called a loner. No man is an island, and you can never achieve anything alone. Not even your most personal views, visions, and ambitions. You will still require the collaboration of other people. Spend time building a network. Spend time understanding networking skills. Build networking skills. Build a network. First of all, understand the informal network of that organization, of your department. It could be your team. That's the organization. It could be a larger organization. Understand the informal network. And by yourself, actively network and build your own network. It is important that you do that. Build connections, build your network, develop your own people skills. Don't imagine that office politics is about, everybody. Develop your own people skills. Be brave. Don't be naive. Be brave and let your voice be heard. Stand out with your competencies, with your contributions. Stand out. Don't be valued. Your approach to navigating office politics should be value-driven. If it's value-driven, no one can fault you for it. And a book you may also want to consider getting is a book by somebody called Tom Spears. It's called Navigating Corporate Politics. Tom Spears, S-P-E-A-R, Navigating Corporate Politics. Tom Spears. He talks about some 20 tactics, that you could, and they're relatable tactics that you could, think about and pick what works for you. But you must understand office politics. I say to people, it doesn't matter how you brand it, you must understand office politics, and you must understand how to navigate office politics constructively, favorably. Imagine if you had a followership that you have on LinkedIn in your office. Imagine if you had, because the followership you have on LinkedIn is not just your people who are lower than you. You have superiors, people, connecting and following you for a particular reason, so you must build that same mindset into your office, into managing your office political terrain. Office politics is not necessarily a negative thing. So don't go into it believing that, oh, I'm not involved in office politics. I'm not involved. That's because you're thinking that office politics is necessarily and compulsorily negative. When you navigate the political terrain of your office positively, constructively, for value, then it's no longer a negative. It's no longer a negative concept. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you so much.
There is another question that goes to our second speaker. Why are the selfless leaders not always visible? You asked if we still have leaders, and most responded yes, but are still plagued with bad leadership in almost all spheres in Nigeria and Africa at large.
Well, I would say they are visible. I did show you some faces. They're not just enough. Africa is a huge continent. They're visible, but they're not enough. You know, in the scheme of things, Africa, huge. Nigeria, huge piece of Africa. You know, you need to have, and that's why I think it was Madam Cecilia that said earlier that they are genuine leaders. She responded in the chat room to say, but they're not enough. So the voices of those who are not genuine are drowning those voices. They are. There are, you know, genuine and good leaders, authentic leaders, but they're just not loud. They're not enough in their numbers, even if they made a resounding noise, which is why there's a compelling need for us as young brains to be minded and not to waste any time about the subject. You can begin to speak even now as an authentic leader. Find yourself. When I usually make sure I have a dose of social media every day, and I just go there and I'm sitting down, I'm just reading and I'm reading and I'm reading, you know. I'm just saying to myself, there's some young people who are having amazing impact, you know, even in what they're putting out there. So I think the call is for you and I to neutralize the numbers and, you know, get that number a lot, you know, to the next octave. So there are, and they are visible. I showed you some faces, and I'm sure even you can plug in, you know, and put in some more faces. We just need many more people. Yeah.
I say a few words on that question. You know, sometimes if you have, if you think you are right, you're genuine, you're morally correct, you're value based, all of those things. Sometimes we make the error in thinking that the rightness and the correctness of our philosophy ensures that we win in the end. That's not the way the world works. You have to put in effort. A lot of times, genuine leaders rest in the genuineness of their leadership, and they think that alone will make them succeed. No, you have to make sure that you're seen, you're heard, you're understood. You have to be actively doing those things and positioning yourself and creating other leaders. Because the not so genuine leaders are out there speaking loudly, leveraging with social media, using PR firms. They know that they are peddling emptiness. So they make a lot of noise. If you are offering substance, you also have to go to the marketplace with your substance. The fact that it is substance doesn't mean, you know, they say, oh, just put sugar down, the ants will come. But in the world that we're in, it doesn't work that way. You have to go to the market. You have to show the ants, I've got sugar and you need sugar. And this is something we all must do. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, sorry, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Please, I'd like to ask, how do we create balance? For instance, there's a course there's a field you are currently practicing, and of course, you want to leverage now on technology, which is quite different from maybe based on your passion, it's quite different from the current field where you are practicing. And of course, we'll be talking on leadership. You have series of books, you're reading, you have business engagement and all that. So how do we now create balance in all of these stuffs? I really need some enlightenment.
Okay, let Mrs. Cecilia Akintomide answer the question, ma, then followed by Oluwafunke Amubi.
So
Hello.
I'm trying to understand the question. So I think what you're saying is, how do you pivot from one career to another, and also selecting the new skills to help you better pivot? Am I understanding the question right?
Hello.
Bukola?
I think we lost him.
Yeah. So
please continue, ma'am.
Yes. So if this is about a career pivot, so for example, I'm trying to think of the best example. Yes, maybe you're a medical doctor or you're a lawyer, and during COVID, you realize that nobody's actually going to come to your law office. So if you don't have a virtual office that will make you accessible and deliver your legal work online, you're going to lose out of the business. And maybe you want to now go from delivering legal services online to actually selling digital or making digital legal material available. So what you've done is you've gone from just being a lawyer providing legal services in a physical space to say, I am going to leverage technology. So you actually can trace an evolution. We talked about the fact that leadership is not about repeated and consistent action. So it's not about doing the same thing the same way. It's about continued and improved series of actions. So you can actually start to connect the dots to say, I have actually seen that this is the next level. And actually would have been better not to have waited for COVID, because by being a visionary leader, you should have started saying that we're going into a digital space, and that should be the next level for my business. How do I take my business into the virtual space? And you already start investing and also having the technology available to actually function in that digital space. The thing about career pivots also is that you have to talk to people and you have to do your research well. You have to understand the market, that you're actually bringing to the market something that the market needs. You're bringing to the market a disruptor. So it's like fintechs and banks, and beginning to understand that there's a payment service that's different from banking. In the past, everything was merged into banking. And then as people started to unbundle, they said there is a payment service that you actually don't need to be a bank to fulfill the payment service. And people started going into that payment service function. So also unbundling what we do, for example, Uber and transportation service, or Airbnb and hospitality and hotels, is that when you unbundle it, you actually see that, oh, I don't need to own a car. But maybe what I need to do is be able to bring together those that need transportation service with those that need, that have cars. And that alone is a service. One of the greatest lessons, I must say, that I have learned is that we're in a value-based world. Identify the value you can bring, and then someone will pay for it. They may not even have discovered that they needed that value. You may actually have to be the one to tell them. So people were comfortable with banks until financial payment platforms came out and that, you know what, I can actually help you make that payment, and all of it on a platform. You don't have to go anywhere. And now even the banks are now coming up with their own payment platforms. So I would say what is critical is the value that you're bringing, identifying that value, and being able to communicate that value that you're bringing to the market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Bukola, I hope your question has been answered.
Yes, absolutely.
Hello? All right.
Yes, yes.
Do we have any other question before we round up the program? Just 2 more questions. I want to appreciate everyone for taking time to attend this training program, the maiden edition of VYB Leadership Cohort 1. On behalf of VYB, I appreciate all the participants for your time. And a special appreciation goes to our speakers, Cecilia Kintomide and Oluwafumike Amobi. Thank you so much, Ma, for the beautiful presentation. Femi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Please give the closing remarks.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. I would like to invite Professor Babatunde Adewumi to first give the closing remark and appreciate our speaker. Are you there, sir? Prof.
Kindly unmute yourself.
Please.
I think it's muted. Okay.
Yes, I've done that. Can you hear me, please?
Yes,
we can hear you.
We can hear you, sir.
Honestly speaking, I got the invitation just some few minutes to the start. I was just trying to check my mail when I got it. And today is my son's birthday. It's supposed to be busy for me. But I decided to just keep on through because I think that the topic you are discussing is very relevant, because that is what we need for our youth to be able to know how to market themselves. And of course, with the issue of ICT now, it's very important that it makes them highly marketable. So I decided to stay on to learn for myself, and particularly realizing the caliber of our speakers. Honestly speaking, we have been able to get the right speakers to enlighten our youth and to contribute in this COVID period. COVID will be over, but we just have to do with it. We just have to accept and know that we are entering into a new era in the world. And we have to know how to maneuver, particularly our young generation. Many people will be lost along the line. So I want to honestly appreciate our speakers. Cecilia Akintomi, please take it for me, and Fumi Amobi. Honestly speaking, you have done perfectly, I must tell you. I'm a director for the entrepreneurship studies in my university, and I will say I will still link with you to talk to my students. Honestly speaking, you have done perfectly. I'm very grateful to the two speakers. You have done justice. You have proven to us you have the substance. And please, I want to plead, and that is actually where I'm going, whatever I say, that we will want you to serve as mentors for our youth. Because there are quite a lot of people we have who just know how to make noise, but they don't have the substance. And unfortunately, these are the type of people our youth are running after. And you just see that it kills a ball of bad leadership rolling. But where the youth can see people in, places that matter and who can deliver, the little contributions you can give can make the whole world to change for better. So please, despite your busy schedules, I will plead with you, like I have always decided, that as much people that can really help our youth by serving as mentors, despite our very busy schedule, should please try, because they really need people after hearing us who can learn more from us, and we can be a pathfinder for their life. And I tell you, the results are always enormous if we can do it, but it's tasking. So please, our speakers, as we appreciate you, we want you to still be ready to serve as mentors. God will help you. Thank you so much. I think that is what I will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Amen.
Thank you very much, sir.
So I hope our speakers have accepted to be
Excuse me,
mentors
madam. Excuse me,
for
madam.
AYB.
If I may, for just a minute. Thank
Okay,
you very
ma'am.
Thank you very much, Professor. And I absolutely agree with you that we have to rise up to see the change that we want. We have to be the change that we want. And as leaders, we commit to supporting this initiative and mentoring the young ones. I have a platform called Career Matters with Funke Amobi, where I, on a weekly basis, get followership. It's on social media, on LinkedIn, Career Matters with Funke Amobi. I specifically have a platform, Career Matters for Undergraduates, where I actually interact more or less like one-on-one coaching, with undergraduates to enable them make the right choices, enable them understand when they should be, connecting the dots with regards to building their skills, leveraging appropriately ahead of the future of work. And so I invite every one of the young brains, those who are still in the category of, the undergraduates, to link up with Career Matters with undergraduates. I will reach out to the young brains so that we can, on social media, bring them into the closed group, so they can get all the advice and all the coaching and all the support that they require. And others who are no longer in that category of the undergraduates would also receive invitations to join Career Matters with Funke Amobi. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I am very, very grateful and happy that we have Prof with us, and also to personally appreciate our speaker, Mrs. Cecilia Akitomide. Are you still there, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
I don't know how to thank you. Many people do not understand that for you to succeed in life, you just have to be determined. You just have to step out. You just have to seek for leaders. They will not come and beg you. There are some people that are supposed to be on this platform, but probably they couldn't see, or probably they don't have the resources. I'm 100% sure God will open doors for such people.
Amen.
I'm personally appealing to both of you to join African Young Brain as our mentor, just like Prof said.
Yeah.
We believe in you. That's why we invited you. And for everybody that is on this call, I've never seen Mrs. Cecilia Akitomide face to face in life. I've never seen Funke Amobi face to face live. You can't believe it. But the issue is that they believe this young man has something to offer and deliver something for Africa. And I need to start from home, Nigeria, Please, we will officially write you. We want you to be our mentors, and we want you to guide us. What I believe is that what I am doing is not for me. It's for generation after I've gone.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we do, the more we will have people that will join us.
Mm-hmm.
And most likely, I repeat, most likely, the less will be loved, the less will be appreciated, but that should not discourage us. This is the first cohort training for leaders, and we were 28 in the class. We are still going to have another session next Saturday. The closing ceremony will be on 26th, when those people that met the basic condition were able to do the assignments, were able to read the books. Those 2 books we gave to them, anyone can do it, Building a Coffee Republic, and then Everybody Matters. Those are the books they selected. Please, I appreciate you. We cannot pay you monetarily for what you have done. We know the cost of it. We understand the sacrifice. Please, we love you and want you to love us too. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
appreciate my team, the AYB team, most especially the moderator of today, Oladele Temitope. She has been there and she's passionate about African Young Brain. And we have said it that there is no limit. Anyone can aspire to be the very best. Please step up, and do the very best. Thank you to all the participants in the room. You have persevered, you have been contributing, you have been doing assignments. Please don't give up. Tell others too, and I believe that definitely you will see the result and the reward. Thank you, Ezekiah. I cited you. We have been together in African Young Brain. Ezekiah is in Poland currently and is passionate about African Young Brain. I say once again, Ms. Cecilia Ade, Aketomide, Funke Amobi, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm Professor Adewumi. I love you. Thanks for your support. God will bless you. To everyone, I say thank you. And that's the end of today's session. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.
Amen. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
God
Bye.
bless you.
Thank you for having
Bye-bye.
us.
Bye. Amen.
You
Thank
can
you, sir.
talk, you can unmute
Bye.
yourself and say 1 or 2 things. Appreciate the speaker. Everyone is unmuted now, I think.
Please, ma and sir, I will get your contact.
Okay, sir.
Auntie
Okay,
Funke and
Professor.
Auntie Ajimo, Auntie Cecilia from
Okay,
Young
Professor.
Brains and link up with you.
Thank you, sir.
It will
Thank you
be
so
an honor,
much.
sir.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir. Grateful.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
young
Thank you.
ones.
God bless
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you.
Thank
For
you.
the time. For the quality
Bye.
presentation. Thank you.